Hello, welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us on the programme this evening.
The mistakes that left the Manchester Arena bomber free to carry out his murderous attack. The new ITV documentary which reveals how MI5 failed to act on their own intelligence.
MI5 interpreted that intelligence as relating to ordinary crime, or perhaps not even to crime at all. With hindsight, it's pretty obvious that that intelligence related to a developing terrorist plot.
A long way from home, the nurse from Cheshire making a huge difference to the lives torn apart by the war in Ukraine.
Rambling for Ramadan, a big turnout for the group that aims to get women walking in the Lake District.
The 3 billboards causing quite a stir on a street in Stockport.
And hay fever sufferers beware, tree pollen counts are expected to rise from midweek onwards. But also the temperatures this week, but does it mean dry and sunny? Full forecast a little later on.
Well, first, the UK's intelligence services made mistakes and jumped to the wrong conclusions about the man who killed 22 people in the Manchester Arena attack.
Yeah, that's the verdict of Lord Anderson. He's the barrister who was given the task of assessing the role of MI5 in the lead-up to the attack 5 years ago. He says the Secret Service had information which indicated Salman Abedi could be a terrorist, but he says that information wasn't acted on.
He's been speaking to ITV for a documentary being shown tonight. Our correspondent Amy Welch has more.
We were fans of Ariana years before. So we were like, well, we have to go and see her live.
Yeah.
It is chilling to think such a good night could go so horribly wrong.
They went to a pop concert thinking they'd be safe.
When I went to concerts before, you just never think about security. It's not something you ever think. You just think it's always going to be there. I never thought anything bad was going to happen.
And now 5 years on from the attack which killed 22 people, the truth of what happened is emerging and will be told in an ITV documentary. Worlds collide, the Manchester bombing.
We're well aware of the incidents that are happening, obviously, around the UK and around Europe at the time.
Niall Pentony was working as a railway security guard that night.
It drilled into us, to be vigilant, stay vigilant, watch everybody, keep your wits about you.
CCTV shows Salman Abedi scoping out his target with a bomb strapped to his back. There were missed opportunities to stop him both on the night itself and in the months before. So what made a man born in Manchester turn against his own city?
I'm not a believer that children are born bad, and these weren't born bad.
The father of Martin Hett, who died in the attack, blames Abedi's father, Ramadan, for radicalising his son. It's believed he's now living in Libya, but he declined to comment.
They were taken to Libya. They were trained to fight in the war over there. And I believe that was the start of this, because he believed what Ramadan told him. He was brought up into that world. But people have choices, to kill 22 people or not to kill 22 people. Salman Abedi had a choice.
And the barrister asked to investigate MI5's role says they had intelligence linking him to terrorism, but didn't act on it.
MI5 interpreted that intelligence as relating to ordinary crime, or perhaps not even to crime at all. With hindsight, it's pretty obvious that that intelligence related to a developing terrorist plot. Now, we all make mistakes, we all misunderstand things that we're told, we all jump to wrong conclusions. And I'm afraid that's what happened in this case.
Can you give us any insight as to what that intelligence specifically is?
I'm afraid I can't.
We'll never know what that intelligence was because MI5 have kept it secret. They say it could harm national security if made public and that it's unlikely the attack could have been prevented. But tonight's documentary will lay bare 18 months of evidence heard by a public inquiry and undoubtedly raise questions over whether lessons should already have been learnt before lives were lost. Amy Welch, ITV News.
Well, we saw Lucy Jarvis in that report. Lucy was just about to turn 18 when she was seriously injured in the arena attack and joins us now. So, Lucy, when you hear that potentially the bombing could have been stopped, How does that make you feel?
You know, it's one of those things, it's hard to process at first, but I think, you know, with time I've learned to accept it and just, you know, things go wrong and you can't fix it. It is what it is. And I just have to look forward and see the positives in everything, really.
I mean, it must have changed your life in so many ways. Do you never get angry, feel bitter?
I'd never say never, but overall I'm quite calm with the whole situation now. I've come to peace with it, and I think there's no point being bitter and angry and putting the blame on someone else. Like, I just think it happened and we need to move on, we need to move forward. There's no point dwelling on the past, really.
And how has it changed you as a person?
I think I'm a lot more determined now. If I want something, I go out and get it. I'm, you know, a lot less reserved, which I think is a positive, yeah.
And it's 5 years since the attack. Has that gone quickly?
Yes and no. I think it's gone quickly in some senses. Like, I've started university, you know, my life started again, which, you know, is great. But I also think I remember the first anniversary so vividly and how I felt at the time and everything like that. And I still feel that to some extent, but, you know, yeah, I guess it has been a long time.
The anniversaries are a strange thing in some respects, aren't they? We've got the 5th coming up next month on the 22nd of May.
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan anything in particular? Do you do anything for the anniversary?
Yeah, usually we meet up with the choir. I'm part of the Manchester Survivors Choir, so we usually meet up on the day and have a drink and have a chat and walk around and stuff. And then I like to spend it with my mum and dad as well, just to see them.
Yeah, I bet they like to hold you close on that
Yeah,
day.
definitely.
Now, you did suffer extreme injuries, didn't you? 30 pieces of shrapnel removed from your leg mainly. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I've still got some ongoing injuries and, you know, stuff like that. I've got to have more surgeries in the future.
You know, right from the moment we met you, you were so determined to make a recovery from it, weren't you?
Definitely. I wasn't going to let it hold me back. I was 17, I was young. I didn't want my life to stop there, really.
So traumatic. Do you think you can draw a line underneath what happened ever, or is it part of you?
I think it's part of me. I think it'll always be part of me, and I think it's something that will need to be spoken about, you know, to show people that people are still hurt, going through hard times with it.
And Lucy, you know, you're focusing on the future now, you said, and at university, or at Salford University, what are you doing?
I'm doing TV and radio production.
Fantastic.
And do you think that's something that you would have done?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I studied media in college and high school anyway, so I definitely was, you know, in that area. But I think, you know, being involved in some documentaries and stuff like that has really inspired me to, you know, to do that, and that's what I want to do.
Brilliant. Sure, you'll be brilliant at it, and it's great to see you in studio tonight, Lucy.
You.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Best of luck.
Yeah, always smiling as well. Fantastic. Thanks, Lucy.
And a reminder that Worlds Collide, the Manchester bombing, is on ITV tonight at 9 o'clock.
Well, next tonight, the nurse from Cheshire who swapped the emergency department at the Countess of Chester Hospital for a clinic in Ukraine.
Lorraine Lloyd has gone out to the war-torn country as part of a team of medics from the charity UK Med, who are based in Manchester, to help provide medical assistance to those fleeing the fighting.
She's been speaking to our correspondent, Mel Barham.
Oh, hi. My name's Lorraine.
Lorraine Lloyd normally works as a nurse in the emergency department at the Countess of Chester Hospital.
So I'm just going to come and have a little look at you today, if that's okay.
For more than 2 weeks, she's been here in Ukraine, along with a team of medics, helping those who've had to flee their homes.
We've had an overwhelming welcome here. The gratitude that people have shown us has just been fabulous. They're just so pleased to see us. Some of the stories, obviously, we've got a mixture of sort of really sad stories that are just heartbreaking. And some of them are, they're using a lot of humour to get through this.
Lorraine is here as part of a team from the Manchester-based charity UK Med, who are providing medical assistance and setting up field hospitals just like this one across Ukraine. Just a few weeks ago, we filmed at their depot as medical supplies were about to leave for the war-torn country. They've now got 3 teams scattered across Ukraine, providing much-needed help to thousands of people.
So this is our static clinic here at Dropovich in Western Ukraine.
This is just one of the clinics they've been able to set up.
This is our pharmacy.
It's in a town called Jobovich, just south of Lviv, where thousands of people have travelled to escape unimaginable terror.
They've spent 2 days in a train, standing up in a cramped carriage with no food, no water, just with small children having to get to the west. People that have spent time, almost a week or so in basements that have been sort of dark, dusty, with poor ventilation, that have caused some breathing problems. And that's a lot of the stories that we've heard, that they've been living on snow because they've had no food, no water, that they've been eating the snow just to try and stay hydrated before they made their way here.
Lorraine's team, which consists of 2 GPs and 3 nurses, are working alongside the local hospital here to provide primary healthcare to those who need it.
They've had to flee quickly, obviously leaving treatment, leaving medication and everything behind. So things like people with high blood pressure, asthma, diabetes, just general sort of aches and pains, but things just an awful lot, unfortunately, of psychological trauma because of the conflict that they have witnessed.
It is a world away from life in Chester, but for Lorraine, it was a calling she couldn't ignore.
I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for many years, and the people of Ukraine have captured everybody's hearts, and there's lots and lots of people have helped in many, many ways, and this is my part of helping. That if I can provide some small service to the people here for their health needs, then I'm more than happy to do that. It's actually a privilege to do it.
There is still plenty to do here. Lorraine is set to stay for another 4 weeks, and UK Med say none of it would be possible without the generous donations to their charity. Mel Barham, ITV News.
Yeah, well done to Lorraine Lloyd from the Countess of Chester Hospital there. On to more news tonight. A murder investigation is underway after a 36-year-old man was killed in Liverpool. It happened on Lavin Close in Everton at around 11:30 last night. Emergency services were called after a report the man had received a puncture wound to the side of his body. A 60-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman are being questioned on suspicion of murder.
A 19-year-old man has appeared before magistrates charged over a hit and run outside a pub in Wigan in which a woman died. It happened near to 15's in Pemberton on Friday night. Jacob Gaskell from Marlborough Avenue in Ince is accused of causing death by dangerous driving, causing serious injury and failing to stop.
A 3-year-old girl and her 5-year-old brother remain in a critical condition after a fire at a house in Preston. Emergency crews were called to the address on Coronation Crescent just before 8 o'clock on Friday night. The children were taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries, and their mother, a woman in her 20s, is also being treated. A man arrested on suspicion of arson has been released with no further action.
Nearly 2 weeks since the death of Bolton-born singer Tom Parker, an online fundraiser in his memory has raised nearly £50,000. The 33-year-old musician with the band The Wanted had been diagnosed with a brain tumour. Tom's widow, Kelsey, wants to raise money for causes in his name.
And Merseyside police are investigating whether any offence was committed after a reported incident involving Cristiano Ronaldo during Saturday's Everton match. The striker allegedly knocked a mobile phone out of a 14-year-old Everton supporter's hand as he left the pitch. Ronaldo has since issued an apology via social media and has invited the teenager to watch a game at Old Trafford.
OK, lots still ahead on the programme. Coming up.
It's out of my control, things like that. I've got to try and do whatever I can to try and get back in that side.
Ahead of the new cricket season, Lancashire's James Anderson says he has a lot left to offer despite being dropped by England.
And this was the 11th of April last year. Today we got highs of 16 Celsius. And as the jet stream nudges northwards throughout this week, those temperatures could be knocking on the door of 20 Celsius by Good Friday. But does it mean dry and sunny? Full forecast a little later on.
Difference a year makes.
Oh, absolutely. Isn't April a funny month for weather? Definitely. Here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary.
Guilty of murder, the terrorist who killed the MP Sir David Amess. It took the jury just 18 minutes to convict Ali Harbi Ali, who stabbed the MP after months of plotting attacks on politicians. Also ahead tonight, the ethics watchdog opens an investigation into Rishi Sunak's tax arrangements. Why this could be the first of many virtual openings conducted by the Queen. And The new marathon in Leeds for one of the city's sporting heroes. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, we're in the holy month of Ramadan, a time when followers of Islam fast and try to refocus their lives for the year ahead.
Now, with that in mind, a group of women from Cumbria have organised a Ramadan ramble to help break down barriers between different faiths and to encourage more women from ethnic minorities to feel at home in the lakes and fells.
Yeah, they're led by two women, one from Bolton and the other from Blackburn, who moved to Cumbria after falling in love with the area. Our reporter Ryan Dollard went along for the walk.
Integrating the Muslim community she grew up in with the Cumbrian one she's moved into is a passion for Wanderlust Women founder Amira Patel. She's determined to break down barriers and forge deeper bonds between people, regardless of faith or colour.
We're part of this community and we want to show that this is part of our identity. And yeah, we're just really excited to celebrate Ramadan with everyone here. And yeah, it's going to be like nearly a year now since I came here, and I'm really excited to see how we're expanding within our own community, but with the outer community as well.
On Sunday, Wanderlust held an organised walk near Glenridding, inviting Muslims from around the country and anyone interested in learning more about their culture. Fellow Wanderlust founder Aisha Sharif says that Ramadan is the perfect time to try and unite the communities of her childhood and her new life here in Cumbria.
It's about purifying yourself, your intentions, your focus, so that we can become better human beings and better members of society. And especially up here in the Lake District, where we've recently moved to, it's about embracing the new communities that we're within, and also with the work that we're doing with the Wanderlust Women, it's about bridging the communities we were from to the communities that we are now a part of. So Ramadan is a really important time for that sort of feeling.
The group is supported by many people with no direct link to the Muslim community, who are keen to see this region enjoyed by as many people as possible.
I think it's really important to show that we are a welcoming community, and also to diversify the community as well.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think it's really important as well to break down stereotypes as well, especially in the outdoors community. I think there are a lot of misconceptions around who can do what, who's able to do what, but actually the reality is just people can do whatever they want. They're absolutely smashing down barriers.
The Wanderlust Women organise a wide variety of outdoorsy events all year round and hope to promote tolerance and understanding, making these stunning landscapes a welcome haven for everyone. Ryan Dollard, ITV News, Glenridding.
Yeah, such a stunning part of the world. Well, let's move on to sport now. And we can hear from England's greatest ever wicket taker, Mike.
Yeah, sporting legend, isn't he? And he says there is more to come. James Anderson says he still has unfinished business on the international stage. As Lucy said, he's England's greatest bowler with 640 wickets in 169 test matches. But he was dropped for the recent tour of the West Indies. Now aged 39, Anderson says he still believes he has more to offer. Today, he joined his Lancashire teammates for their pre-season photo call ahead of the new domestic season. He hopes by impressing for his county, he may yet make an England return.
Oh, it's frustrating, obviously, but I think, very soon after that decision was made, I sort of, it's out of my control, things like that. I've got to try and do whatever I can to try and get back in that side. I still think I've got a lot to offer England. I think I can still perform at test level. I've showed that over the last however long, over a good period of time. My body's still in good shape. I still feel like I'm bowling well enough. So, as I said, I focus on putting in some good performances for Lancashire, and then hopefully that England call it will come.
OK, now a Hollywood film that won 2 Oscars has inspired an artist from Stockport to brighten up one street in the town.
Yeah, the film is 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, and it got a local artist thinking that she too could stop people in their tracks and get them to notice her work. So she decided to create a small roadside art gallery.
So boards that usually show adverts have got the whole town talking, as Paul Crone discovered.
I don't think those billboards is very fair.
Time it took you to get...
And from 3 billboards in Missouri to 3 billboards in Stockport, a trio of scenes detailing Stockport's long and distinguished industrial heritage, all done by local artist Helen Clapcott. She was inspired by the Hollywood film whilst walking past the empty advertising hoardings back in lockdown.
The light comes in down the valley, off the Cheshire Plain, hits the viaduct, hits the mills, circles round. It's beautiful. Even the motorway snaking east-west looks fantastic.
Taking her inspiration from the Oscar-winning film where a grieving mother erects 3 road signs to catch her daughter's killer, Helen's 3 choices on display on Wellington Street near the town centre each contain very different aspects of Stockport's past and present.
So I was walking along and there's a dog looking forlorn amongst a huge tyre mound. It's just stood there, dog and tyres, in this conglomeration of disused and derelict buildings.
The 3 billboards with Helen's work will be on view at least until the end of April. I do love them. I love the dog particularly. I love the tyres, and the billboards are proving very popular with the locals.
Whoever's done that need a medal. They're absolutely fantastic.
Well, that's Helen. She's the artist.
Nice, Helen.
It's not often that you get billboards with demolition pictures on it. I think they're unique and they're lovely to look at.
A photograph is just a moment in time. These paintings are done over months. They have a narrative to them that exposes itself quite slowly if you look at them, and they survive. They survive time, I hope.
The joy of these paintings is that everyone will have a different favourite, and unlike an art gallery, it won't cost you a penny to view them and stay as long as you want. Just mind the traffic if you get too distracted by the brilliant billboards. Paul Crone, ITV News, Wellington Street, Stockport.
Good advice.
It's fabulous. Now the weather. Here's Kerry.
Now that is brew weather. And only boiling what she needs.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Big up you, sis.
Hello, very good evening to you. The rumours are true. It's warming up throughout this week. At times, though, quite cloudy, maybe even showery, but it's the temperatures that are going to rise throughout the week, possibly knocking on the door of 20 Celsius by the time we reach Good Friday, but in turn that will release more tree pollen, and the forecast from midweek onwards is to be high across the northwest. During the course of this evening, still those showers that have developed in the west pushing northwards, then a dry but rather cloudy spell before further showers start to threaten from the south as we head towards dawn. So don't be too shocked to see a shower first thing in the morning, but with that cloud around and despite lighter winds, it's a milder night compared to the ones we've had at the weekend under those clearer skies. 6:18 and 8:06 ISM times for tomorrow. So tomorrow, a predominantly cloudy and showery start. Some of the showers could be heavy, possibly even thundery throughout the day, clustering to longer spells of rain perhaps. Some initial brightness into the afternoon, but then further showers develop. Again, could be heavy and thundery, but highs 16, 17 Celsius possible in light winds. The showers will move northwards tomorrow evening, and that will allow more of a mix as we head into Wednesday of sunshine and showers and higher temperatures. But there could be some low cloud hugging the coastline and pegging up the temperatures a little bit as we head into Wednesday morning, certainly, and through into lunchtime. But check out the temperatures, 19, possibly 20 by Good Friday. And temperature-wise, we're looking at mild nights, so frost-free. But despite a few rogue showers perhaps on Thursday, it does look like Good Friday and into at least the start of the Easter weekend, it will be a little more settled. Take care.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
2 sugars, please. Oh, lovely.
Warming up then, fingers crossed for Easter weekend. Thanks, Kerry. That's about it from us for tonight.
Yeah, tomorrow, though, more art. The Turner Prize returns to the Tate, Liverpool, for the first time in 15 years. And we're also talking to a couple of Northwest comedy legends about their new fundraising show for Ukraine. Good night.
Good night.